Wednesday edition of the Freedom Link here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. I'm Joe Joseph, along with Tim Watts and John King. And tonight we continue our coverage. Of course, we're covering all this week, the attack on the Second Amendment. And tonight I want to go over some kind of myth-busting, if you will. So we're going to go over some of these common myths of gun control, or how guns are bad, gun demonization. Guys, I mean, in the wake of the Newtown, Connecticut shooting, it just seems to me like this was the event that the powers that be were waiting for to make their move, You know,
we noted last night, too, Joe, that we had how many shootings had happened before the election, and nobody had any political will for this before the elections. But once they've all got their cushy job and they're now set up for the next few years, everybody's willing to entertain taking away our gun rights, our Second Amendment right. And, I find that appalling.
Yeah, I do, too. Really, when it comes to job security, that seems to be their first concern.
Where was your political will before the election? Where was your political will when we had Aurora? Where was your political will when we had the Oregon shootings? I mean, it was non-existent until now.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So what we're going to do right now is start dispelling some myths, because basically, folks, this is all driven by, gosh, how do you say it? It's all driven by lies. I mean, that's really what it is. Tim, all of these arguments that they put up to talk about or to argue for gun control, it's all a bunch of malarkey. So let's get into that, shall we? Now, I'm going to be using, as a reference, I found a great reference. And folks, you can download this book for free by going to www.gunfacts.info. But I'm talking about Gun Facts 6.1 by Guy Smith. And again, if you have it, it's always good. You can print it out. You can have it with you so that should you need to reference it at any time, you have it. It's a great reference. 107 pages full of myth busting. So I'm going to start with the common myth that countries with strict gun control have less crime. Now, here's a fact. The fact is that, and there are many facts, according to the UN, as of 2005, Scotland was the most violent country in the developed world, with people 3 times more likely to be assaulted than in America. Violent crime there has doubled over the last 20 years. 3% of Scots have been victims of assault, compared with 1.2 in America. Now, Scotland, just so you know, folks, is very strict gun control. And Ireland, too, isn't that right, Timmy?
Yeah, with a population of roughly 4 million people versus our 310 million people.
Right. Here's another fact. The major surveys completed in the past 20 years or more provide no evidence of any relationship between the total number of legally held firearms in society and the rate of armed crime. Nor is there a relationship between the severity of controls imposed in various countries or the massive bureaucracy involved with many control systems with the apparent ease of access to firearms by criminals and terrorists. Very interesting, isn't it, Tim?
Oh, absolutely. It harkens back to, we talked earlier about a 1968 gun control study. University of Chicago Law Review had published this, and the debate was whether gun control laws will keep a person from killing. And what they found out in this 1968 report was a person that's motivated to kill will find a weapon regardless of whether it's a gun or not. I guess the whole intent was, the killer's motive to kill. No matter what it was, they're going to find something. It doesn't have to be a gun. If they're deranged and they want to kill, they're going to find some, a knife, a baseball bat, it doesn't matter. And this is a 1968 study when they were talking about gun control way back when.
That's right. Isn't that interesting? Now, John King, I mean, you're a pro Second Amendment guy and pro Constitution guy. Gun control. Have you noticed? Now, you're in a state where it's a lot more restrictive. Have you noticed that there's any major reduction in violent crime or anything else in your area vice the rest of the country? Oh, thank you, John.
Sorry, I had to mute on. No, I haven't yet, but I'm expecting something from it real soon.
Yeah, no, for sure. So here's some other facts. Now, we're talking about countries with strict gun controls have less crime. That's a myth. Here's another fact. Switzerland has relatively lenient gun controls for Europe and has the third lowest homicide rate of the top 9 major European countries, and the same per capita rate as England and Wales. Isn't that interesting? See, now Switzerland is a country. I think, Timmy, isn't Switzerland where they all get like a not an M4 or anything like that?
Weapon. I think that's what our good dentist friend Jason said from Connecticut. He sent us one of his letters he sent off to his representatives, and he was talking about the fact that the Swiss have automatic weapons. Every household is required to have an automatic weapon, and yet their crime rate is extremely low. I'm telling you, you got an automatic weapon in your house, you're damn right no one's going to come in.
Hey, Ken Hildebrand just he says, lower crime rate here in Illinois. Yeah, right, Ken. Yeah, Chicago.
Well, you know, the study that I referenced, too, from 1968 was done, based with Illinois as the model. So you betcha there's a lot of gun violence there.
Yes. No, yeah, of course. It's crazy. Did you know Canada, around 1920, before there was any form of global or any sort of gun control, their homicide rate was 7% of the U.S. rate. So the U.S. rate in 1920 was 93% higher than Canada's. By 1986, and after significant gun control legislation, Canada's homicide rate was 35% of the U.S. rate, a significant increase. In 2003, Canada had a violent crime rate more than double that of the United States. They had 963 violent crimes per 100,000 people, to the United States 475 per 100,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty alarming. We need to get John and Ron on to talk about that. That's pretty alarming.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk about because, well, think about it. More people are going to be victims because they won't be able to adequately defend themselves. Again, criminals don't care about gun bans and gun laws.
Mm-hmm.
If they did, they wouldn't be criminals.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Joe. Well, actually, I mean, here's the point, and this is one that I think it's really hard for them to refute. So, they want to take away our guns. If they're going to take away all of our guns, what I would say is, all right, why don't we make this across the board? If you want to take away semi-automatic and automatic weapons, all that, make it across the board. And that means don't let the police officers have them either, okay? Let's make this even steel. But you know what that argument is going to be? Their argument will be, but the crooks still have the guns and the police need to protect themselves from these crooks with these guns. Really? Okay, then if you're admitting the crooks are going to still have the guns, then why would you take our guns? And that's the logic you've got to go at it with. You got to say, all right, if you're going to take them, let's make it across the board, because the police say they're not giving theirs up. And I don't know how they can say they can't give theirs up when they say there's a threat out there that they can't combat. Really? Then we can't combat it either? Is that's what you're trying to tell us?
Yeah, you're going to leave us to the mercy of a baseball bat? I mean, really, is that what they're looking for?
And that's a lot. You've got to approach it from, folks. You got to say, all right, across the board. And then when they come up with that feeble excuse, we're like, no, the police, they need it to protect themselves from the criminals. Like, so you're telling us the criminals are still going to have these guns, then why are you taking ours?
Right, yeah. We'll just flash a peace sign at them. Yo, dude. Yeah. Peace, brother.
Gun control. Yeah.
Okay, now here's the last fact of, to dispel the myth that countries with strict gun control have less crime. And this ties together with Newtown. Fact, strict controls over existing arms failed in Finland. Despite needs-based licensing, storage laws, and transportation restrictions, Finland experienced a multiple-kill school shooting in 2007. So they implemented all these controls, and guess what? It happened anyway. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that was just one myth. I have a plethora of myths to talk about and a ton of facts to go over. And folks, you have to understand what this agenda is all about. The anti-gun agenda, they're playing people for fools. They're playing people because they're uninformed and they don't understand what guns are, and they don't understand what natural rights are, and they don't understand what the founding fathers intended with the Second Amendment.
And what they're doing right now is they're doing exactly what they did after 9/11. They are playing to emotion. You know, they're not waiting for the dust to settle anything. They're hurrying this right now while emotions are ratcheted up and while the media fans the flames of this. Just like 9/11, they're playing to emotion, folks.
Joe, the founding fathers, I believe, when they put the Second Amendment in there to help guard against tyranny, yeah, okay, most people will say that back when they wrote that, they had muskets. Well, I could say, well, so did the government or so did the state. I believe that the Second Amendment was written to keep equal power with the state, that one never get too powerful over the other. If they take your automatic weapons or your semi-automatic weapons and the state still keeps theirs, it'd be like bringing a spear to a gunfight.
That's right. No, it's like Ms. Hupp said last night during that congressional testimony, Tim. You know, she said, look, I'm probably not going to make many friends here, but I'm here to tell you the Second Amendment isn't for hunting or sportsmanship or sports. Mm-hmm. The Second Amendment was put in place for the people to be able to protect themselves from people like you.
Yeah,
and that's what she told the Senate committee that she was testifying in front of.
That was an incredible, compelling testimony. I mean, that brought tears to my eyes while it was playing. You know, that she watched her own parents executed in front of her, and yet she is speaking out for, you know, in favor of the Second Amendment, that we all still need our right to guns. She was more mad at the state of Texas because they wouldn't let her have a concealed carry in her purse, and she could have stopped that whole event. So, you know, kudos to her, bravo, for her standing up and actually taking this position after her parents were executed at the hand of guns.
Yes, and Angie's giddy like a little schoolgirl because Ms. Hupp has accepted her Facebook friend request. So that's good. So now we got an insider. Now we can get her on the broadcast. All right.
Yes,
Ms. Hupp, if you're listening tonight, please, we'd love to have you on the broadcast. So anyway, guys, going to the next myth. Now here's another nice myth. Gun bans elsewhere work. I think that's a pretty big myth, don't you guys?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Nope, it's not a myth. It helps tyrants everywhere.
Oh, well,
depends on which side of the fence you sit on.
Yeah,
they're
I guess
telling the truth. They're just not telling you whose truth it is.
'Tis true, John. 'Tis true. So let's see. Fact. Though illegal, side street gun makers thrive in the Philippines, primarily handcrafting exact replicas of submachine guns, which are often the simplest type of guns to manufacture. Estimates are that almost half of all guns in the Philippines are illegal. Or fact. Chinese police destroy 113 illegal gun factories and shops in a 3-month crackdown in 2006. Police seized 2,445 tons of explosives, 4.81 million detonators, and 117,000 guns. Yep. How's that gun ban working out for you? And Timmy, you said it best. They're having an epidemic over there, not so much with guns, but with knives.
Yeah. And the same thing in China. You know, China has a private ownership of firearms, and they're talking about, you know, knife incidents are up tremendously in China because that's what they have, and it's kind of like that Chicago gun study said, if someone wants to kill, they're going to kill, they're going to find any weapon. And that's what they're finding out in China. And so these people have nothing to defend themselves with now, so knives have been there. They'll gravitate towards some weapon. If you take guns away, we've got no way to protect ourselves. Crooks will find some way to harm you.
Look at David. David took down Goliath with a stone and a sling, And also think about Rwanda, too. The genocide in Rwanda. You had thousands and thousands of people that were chopped with machetes. They were hacked to pieces.
Yeah.
With machetes. Not guns. I mean, yeah, they had guns. But, look, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I'm saying? So understand that. Now, of course, we have a smorgasbord of other myths. Let me check this one out here. This is another good one. And folks, again, I'm getting all these from Gun Facts 6.1 by Guy Smith, and you can download this for free at www.gunfacts.info. How about this myth? Concealed carry laws increase crime. I hate those concealed carry guys, man. I get scared every time I go make coffee at 7-Eleven. Anyway, fact. 4 states require no permit to carry a concealed firearm. 37 are shall-issue states where non-felons receive permits on demand. And 8 states may or may not issue permits, and 1 state allows no form of concealed carry. Isn't that interesting? I don't know. Statistics for each concealed carry weapon state show that crime rate fell after the right to carry laws became active. How about this, Timmy? Crime rates involving gun owners with carry permits have consistently been about 0.02% of all carry permit holders since Florida's right to carry law started in 1988. 0.02%.
Wow.
Yeah. 0.02%. That's the crime rate with
That's
gun.
incredible.
Yeah. Okay. How about, and here's the state of Florida again. Florida homicide rate fell 36% above the national average to 4% below after concealed carry enactment and remains below the national average. And again, they enact this legislation, or they enact this legislation to conceal carry, and guess what? The crime rate went down, and the murder rate went down. Very interesting. How about this? In Texas, murder rates fell 50% faster than the national average in the year after their concealed carry law was passed. Rape rates fell 93% faster in the first year after enactment and 500% faster in the second. Assaults fell 250% faster in the second year. More to the point, crime is significantly higher in states without right to carry laws.
Yeah.
So isn't that interesting? Now, let me give you some stats about how much higher they are in restrictive states. Here you go. Now, type of crime, robbery. Robbery is 105% higher in states that restrict your right to carry firearms. How about murder? On average, 86% higher. Assault, 82% higher. Violent crime is 81% higher. Auto theft is 60% higher. And rape is 25% higher in states with higher restrictive laws on guns.
You know, one thing that this proves, Joe, right off the bat, the statistic that you're giving that you very easily found, very easily, let's highlight that, the statistics that Joe found very, well, I mean, what'd you spend, Joe, a few minutes?
Few
to come
minutes.
up with these stats? Yeah.
Yep.
What this proves, folks, and please take note of this, what this proves, again, Joe found this in just scant moments. This proves that the media is pushing this agenda. Because, again, these people are trained journalists, trained investigators. They should be able to ferret out this stuff, but they're not. They're pushing the agenda. You know, they can find these same stats, Joe, but yet they're not pushing them out.
That's right. Okay, I've got time for one more myth. Okay, concealed carry permit holders shoot police. Okay, the facts. The Violent Police Center started listing instances of concealed carry holders shooting police. From May 2007 through November 2009, in 2.5 years, they recorded 9 police deaths, 3 in one mass killing by a white supremacist using an AK-47. And of the 9, 5 have yet to have a trial or conviction. So, again, no concealed carry permit on that one. So do you see what I'm saying? And of those 9, by the way, none of them, 0, had to do with concealed carry. I tell you what, folks, it's amazing how the media and how politicians will skew and lie to advance the agenda of the elite so they can save their tookuses. We'll be right back after these messages. When we come back, the King's Court is called into session and we'll continue dispelling these myths. Don't go away. Welcome back, folks. Don't forget to check out the Orion Talk Radio archives for all the past shows that you might have missed from your favorite hosts. Go to the menu bar and click on the archives link, then scroll down the list and find the show you're looking for listed by date and time. You can listen on the fly by clicking on the link, another service to you from Orion Talk Radio. Joe Joseph here, along with Tim Watts and John King. And speaking of John King, hear ye, it's time to call the King's Court into session. John, take it away.
Ding, ding, yeehaw, here we go. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and gaze upon tyranny. These wicked bastards won't even wait for the guns to be confiscated before they are engaging in roadside rape already. Ms. Angel Dobbs, 38, and her niece, Ashley Dobbs, 24, were pulled over on State Highway 161 near Irving, Texas. Now, the trooper searched the car for marijuana before requesting an invasive cavity search. The older Dobbs woman claims that Trooper Kelly Hellison irritated an anal cyst as she was suffering, causing severe pain and discomfort. They are also suing the Texas Department of Public Safety for failing to act upon previous complaints about violating searches. Well. It looked like this is not your typical pain-in-the-ass traffic stop. Look, folks, this is just the first of invasive searches. No court order, no warrant, just probable cause on a marijuana suspicion. This will be coming to an airport near you, too, real soon. If this happened to me, I would at least ask if this means we are engaged, or at least buy me dinner. Not McDonald's. I'm not cheap. Easy, but not cheap. Can you be empathetic for once? That means putting yourself in someone else's shoes. What would you do if someone wanted to give you a cavity search? And, by the way, remember the marijuana smell that I mentioned that was the use for probable cause by the officer to conduct the search in the first place? He found none. Looks like I have to dig out my Sammy Hagar CDs of I Can't Drive 55 and Careless Whisper by George Michael and go do some driving up the interstate. Court adjourned.
Wow.
Wow, that was a good one. Oh, yeah, that was a good one, buddy. Oh, man. Okay, so we're talking about the attack on the Second Amendment, and tonight we're kind of playing Mythbusters in a way. And so let's get back to busting some myths. Now, where did we leave off? Oh, yeah, concealed carry permit holders shoot police. And, of course, they don't shoot police. I mean, unless they're being attacked by police. But, you know, more times than not, that doesn't happen. How about the myth that people with concealed weapons permits will commit crimes. The results for the first 30 states that passed shall issue laws for concealed carry permits are similar. They go down as a result of it. They go down. The crimes go down. And they do not commit violent crimes in general. You know, Tim, and I don't know why that these myths are so far-reaching and that people are so stupid to believe this stuff and to be hooked into it, you know?
Yeah. You know, and that's a good point, Joe, because really when you look at this, it's the uninformed among us who are the most scared. And these are the people like right after 9/11 and right after this event, these are the ones that are willing to go along with this out of their own ignorance because they're not looking. And again, you know, to the media, they're the ones that are fueling this, that 100 plus million people that are still, you know, tied into the tube. That's the issue. That's the problem. And as I pointed out before, you found these stats in mere moments, and yet the media is not finding them. So they're feeding this uninformed populace that's actually pushing this whole agenda. But if you gave them the real facts and they actually knew what was happening and they actually knew, you know, real statistics, they might have a different view of this. But because of the media and all this false BS they throw out there, these people are scared, and they drive the issue.
Let me throw this out at you, too. What normally happens? Let's just say, Timmy, you've got a concealed carry permit, and you're carrying your firearm concealed, and you get pulled over. Okay. Now, when you're a concealed carry permit holder, typically, what happens is when you're pulled over, and they look at your license in the computer, they will see that you have a permit to conceal carry. Now, when you're pulled over like that, most states that have concealed carry laws require you to disclose that you are armed. Now, we've seen countless times on YouTube and many other social media outlets actual dash cam video and citizen video of concealed carry holders doing just that. Hey, officer, I just want you to know I have my firearm on me. It's right here, yada, yada, yada. And automatically they're like, whoa, call for backup, quick, backup. They're armed. They throw him on the ground. They beat the snot out of him. All because he had his gun and was lawfully carrying his weapon. But they freak out.
And respectfully informing the police officer. That's all he's doing. Respectfully informing the police officer so the police officer doesn't say, oh, you've got a gun in there. So he's doing the forthright thing, coming forward, and look where it gets you.
Yeah, following the law. And most of them get freaking just totally used and abused, you know? So, I mean, understand that this happens all the time. Now, here's another fact. People with concealed carry permits are 5.7 times less likely to be arrested for violent offenses than the general public, and 13.5 times less likely to be arrested for nonviolent offenses than the general public. Why? Because there's a lot of responsibility to owning a firearm. And typically those that possess that personal responsibility and are lawfully carrying, maintaining firearms, they tend to, follow the law. So they don't run into these problems with violent offenses and nonviolent offenses because they're law-abiding citizens. So that's why these numbers are so staggering. How about this? Even gun control organizations agree it's a non-problem for people with concealed weapons permits, the threat that they'll commit crime. It's a non-problem, as in Texas, because there hasn't been a Wild West shootout in the streets. Of course not. How about a 14,000 concealed carry permit licenses in Oregon? Only 4, that's 0.03%, were convicted of the criminal use or possession of a firearm. And that doesn't necessarily mean violent either. So 4 out of 14,000 I mean, these are serious issues because these are the myths that the anti-gun lobby uses and are using to take our guns away, guys.
And again, something that the media should be jumping on. I mean, as a reporter, and I know I was schooled this way. It's like you immediately jump on the story, and you start ferreting out the facts and digging into the meat of the story. And they obviously haven't done this. Because again, if you found this stuff that quick, Joe, and folks, try it yourself. I mean, you'll be able to find these stats if you just, take a few moments to look. But it really highlights what's going on in the media and who's driving this agenda. They're helping. They're fueling this whole thing rather than, dig up the facts.
That's right. That's right. How about this myth? Let's jump to a different myth real quick. Guns are not a good deterrent to crime. Now, believe it or not, there's a lot of people that think that. There are a lot of people that think that guns are not a good deterrent to crime, that crime will happen regardless of if the guns are there or not. And let me give you some facts. Oh, by the way, before we get any farther, I want to invite people to stay tuned for Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye. He's doing a 4-hour special broadcast with special guest Julia Davis. Julia Davis was a national security anti-terrorism expert, former Customs and Border Protection officer, and she was branded a domestic terrorist for exposing glaring shortcomings within the U.S. national security establishment. So make sure you tune in tonight for Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye. Okay, so we're talking about the myth that guns are not a good deterrent to crime. Let's see. Fact. Guns prevent an estimated 2.5 million crimes a year. That's 6,849 every day. Often, the gun is never fired and no blood, including the criminals, is shed. How about that, Tim?
Wow. Now, yeah, again, that's stuff that needs to be before Congress as they debate this, rather than working off emotion like they're doing.
Hey, John,
the children, we're doing it for the children.
Oh, God, the children argument.
And to that end, I mean, again, some just innocuous stats, but if they're doing it for the children, how about, let's change our bathtubs or something, because there's 43,000 kids that are seriously injured in a bathtub every year. Every year they have to go to the emergency room. And I know that might be a trite little analogy, but again, if we're doing it for the kids, hey, let's look at some other statistics that harm kids and let's address those as well.
Hey, John, I got an old saying, because typically this is all you need to do when confronted by a criminal. Are you ready, John? Are you ready?
You mean besides beg?
Clickety-clack, rack the side black. That's right. Just chambering around or hearing the shotgun. That's going to make the bunghole pucker to many a criminal. So understand that, right, John?
Absolutely. That will make any criminal dirty their drawers.
That's right. So we would also see an uptake, of course, with the increase in firearms and firearm ownership. You will also see a boom in the underwear industry because methinks there's going to be some holes blown out in some drawers, if you know what I'm saying.
I'm buying stock in bleach.
Sound financial advice.
With the fiscal cliff looming, I don't think people are going to be able to afford new drawers. They're just going to bleach out the stains in the old ones.
Well, if that's the case, that's good sound advice by the people at King Financial Group. Make sure you subscribe to the King Financial Group newsletter, as it always has some great investment advice.
Found in fighter reporter Johns around the country.
That's right. Guns are not a good deterrent to crime. Fact. It seems to be slowing down property crime, especially burglaries. The chart shows that legal handgun supply in America mainly in civilian hands. This chart here shows that and I'm looking at a chart, and folks, you can see this. This is at gunfacts.info, and the book that I'm getting a lot of this information from is called Gun Facts 6.1 by Guy Smith. And when I tell you, every fact comes with a citation, meaning that you know where Guy got his information from, and you can go directly to the source and take a look. And this is unbelievable. So what it says is, as handgun supply increases, total property crime decreases. And in the case of, let's see, there were 525 property crimes per 1,000 houses in the United States in 1973. And at that time, the handgun supply in Illinois, or not in Illinois, in the United States was 150 million. Now, there's over 330 million handgun supply in the United States. And right now we're looking at property crime per 1,000 household of 150. So it went from 525 to 150 per every 1,000 households of total property crime as the handgun supply increased. That seems to me, fellas, like that's a pretty good deterrent.
Yeah, and certainly no reason to throw it out, and again, people aren't thinking with facts. I mean, they're going to go in and they're going to reason this whole case out, again, on simple emotion. That's it. They're not looking at the facts of what's going on with, the actual advantage to all of us having something to protect ourselves with.
Absolutely. How about 60% of convicted felons admitted that they avoided committing crimes when they knew the victim was armed? 40% of convicted felons admitted that they avoided committing crimes when they thought the victim might be armed. You increase your chances that you will not be robbed or attacked by 40% just by the thought of you being armed. Isn't that interesting? And felons report that they avoid entering houses where people are at home because they fear being shot.
Yep. And to the point, their big argument, that, it's the clip, you can't have a clip that carries, a lot of ammunition and stuff like that. The semi-automatic weapon, it's like you've got to pretty much aim that and hope to hit something, even though it's semi-automatic. And we talked about this before. Where is
No, you mean automatic? Are you talking automatic or semi?
Well, I'm talking to semi-automatic. If someone went in with a semi-automatic and they start pop, 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 and you can only go as fast as your finger can pull, and you've actually got to aim the thing. Where I'm going is the sawed-off shotgun. Had this guy gone in with something simple like that, like a hunting shotgun.
Oh, like a scatter gun, right. Yeah, something exactly. Like with number 8 shot or something. Yeah. Oh, man, he would have tore that place up.
Yes. Nothing to do with having a clip. I mean, that is a whole other, story in itself.
Well, and to this statistic, Tim, I want to point this out. It just says felon report that they avoid entering houses where people are at home because they fear being shot. To that case, how many armed robberies do you find happening at the police station? Hey, the police station has a treasure trove of stuff. I mean, think about the evidence lockers and all the money from drug confiscation, all the drugs. Good grief, man. Now that's the place to go rob. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there's too many guns there. Well, if it's okay for them, why isn't it okay for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure does. Yeah, it does. It deters that kind of crime. 59% of burglaries in Britain, okay? 59% of the burglaries in Britain, which have tough gun laws, very tough gun laws, are hot burglaries, which are burglaries committed while the home is occupied by the owner or the renter. By contrast, in the U.S., with more lenient gun control laws, hot burglaries happen at a 13% rate. So they're saying that 6 in 10 robberies or home burglaries happen while you're home in Britain because very tough for you to have a gun. In the United States, it's a little over 1 in 10.
Yeah, they'll literally just walk right in. I had something happen here again, I live out in the country. One night we had 2 guys come up and just literally try to walk into our house because, they figure people in the countryside, they leave the door open. Once they get in out here in the country, no one's going to hear you scream. So, but fortunately, I've trained my family always keep the doors locked. And my small daughter, who was right there at the front entryway, God only knows what would have happened. She's went, Daddy, some 2 men just tried to come in the house. And I saw them go down the driveway. Unfortunately, we called the police. They picked them up, and end of that. But, if you don't have guns, they'll just walk right into your house. It happened to me.
That's right. And this is the final myth of the night, guys. And I think one of the most important ones, especially in lieu of the Newtown, Connecticut shooting. And the myth is private guns are used to commit violent crimes. Now, here's your facts. 90% of all violent crimes in the U.S. do not involve firearms of any type. 9 in 10. Here's another fact. Even in crimes where the offender possessed a gun during the commission of the crime, 83% did not use or threaten to use the gun. Or how about this? Less than 1% of firearms will ever be used in the commission of a crime. Less than 1%, Tim.
Wow.
Yeah, less than 1%. So I guess it's the guns that we have to ban, right? Right. Or how about 2/3 of the people who die each year from gunfire are criminals being shot by other criminals? Not the law-abiding citizens, is it? Yes, John.
Joe, I think I have the answer. We shouldn't ban guns, just people.
Well, let's do that. Yeah, let's have a people ban. We're going to have a people ban go into effect. And the final fact, to dispel the myth that private guns are used to commit violent crime, is 94.4% of gang murders are committed with guns. Gangs are responsible for between 48 and 90% of all violent crime. Again, not law-abiding citizens. So the question is, why are citizens even having to face this kind of threat? And let me say this to you anti-gun freaks, and that's what you are. You're freaks. To you, I say this. If you don't like guns, and you don't like your neighbors being armed, and you want to live in a gunless society, there are over 170 countries in this world with strict gun laws and or gun bans. And you are more than welcome to live there if you choose. There are a couple to choose from. As a matter of fact, if you go over the border to Mexico, you're free to live there. Oh, but don't worry. I mean, those drug cartel people, they won't hurt you. No. They won't hurt you. But go ahead. You go ahead and go to that country where there is a gun ban or gun laws. You do not tell me what I can and cannot have, and you sure as hell will not try to take my natural rights away. Oh, you could try, but you're not going to get too far. Folks, that's the broadcast for tonight. Stay tuned. Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye coming up right after the news. Have a good night, everybody.